Cheers and Discord. Right. One. So I'm gonna minimize the sounds of this one. I'll take it to 15. Right. An actual video where I react to a video that's related to gaming journalism, I believe. Okay. All right. Game capture over game capture, right? And maximize the size of the video, right? That's all it comes down to. And the chat is over, right? So to be able to check out this one, okay. So this is pretty good, right? Okay, so I'll put this as the thumbnail real quick. I was gonna play Pokemon Y on this stream, but I thought maybe I wanna talk about this one as well from a Pokemon player's perspective. Playlists, posts. Have to get the chat. Give me a sec. Okay. Copy. Okay. Close. And yeah, have to put this into the thumbnail. Okay, and that's done. And save. Okay, and that's done. Sure. I think I'm done. I believe. So this is Asmongold's video about video games, right? So let's get into it. Okay, so I have to give a little background on there will be people who are watching this who seek Asmongold as content. So I am a Pokemon fan. I am a Pokemon fan since I got my hands on Pokemon, and so not a normal fan, but like I actually play a lot of those games. I'm more of a shiny hunting competitive type of player when it comes to Pokemon. So as a Pokemon fan myself, as a person who watch and play a lot of kinds of Pokemon games, more than any other franchise of video games. I'm a big fan of like people who play Pokemon are most of the time just clinging onto Pokemon because of how deep this game actually is. So I actually believe them. Not believe, like I actually kind of know why that's the case, because if we really think about it, Pokemon is a lot. You need to know a lot about Pokemon in order to play Pokemon, right? There are 18 elemental types. You need to know resistances and weaknesses of the Pokemon, the amount of you know, yeah, the amount of like it's a Pokemonology kind of thing. You have to, it's a whole degree, it's a whole, you need to learn Pokemon in a different manner, like differently. It's like a whole subject at school. In order to play this game, it's a lot, and I feel like that's the reason people have clinged on to Pokemon, because Pokemon already gives you enough content, not enough, like very vast amount of content, where they will just cling on to Pokemon and play Pokemon only rather than any other games. So and I'm a big fan of Pokemon Legends Arceus, and Asmongold talked about the game. So I thought to myself, maybe I will try. Maybe I'll try talking about it and try to be. I'm definitely not biased about Pokemon. I am actually fed up of Pokemon myself. Of the path they're taking with this franchise. Game Freak, Creatures Inc., specifically Nintendo, and when it comes to the Palworld controversy. So I will be speaking about it. We'll see where this is gonna take me to. Okay, here we go.
Happen with Palworld, but
give me a sec. I have Pokemon Y in the background. I'm gonna close it, right? And I have to increase the sounds of this one. Okay, here we go. Hopefully the sounds are alright. I'm gonna watch right now. Here we go.
make sure that you have it downloaded on your PC if you're playing the game. You own the game already, right?
So let's talk about Palworld from a Pokemon fan's perspective. So I don't think I'm a complete Pokemon fan, because I do play hardcore games like Sekiro, and I do play Super Meat Boy. I don't think it's hardcore though. Super Meat Boy. It's very challenging, but Palworld is a game that's clearly made mostly for adults, because of the amount of violence it gives, like it executes. It should have an adult audience. You shoot them, you butcher the pals to actually, it's like in Pokemon, you just catch Pokemon. If you have too many Pokemon in your hand, your Pokemon will go to the PC, and the PC fills up, right? If you want to release or you want to get rid of any of the Pokemon on the PC, right? You have to just click the Pokemon, and then you have to release the Pokemon. That's all you have to do. In Palworld, you just you're not even releasing. You just murder the pal. That's all. And it shows this blurry. I haven't butchered any pal yet because I most of the time like I'm more of a logical player. So like the amount of pals I want to catch, I actually think and So currently I'm at level 49 in Palworld, not level 50 yet. Couldn't catch a Jet Dragon, but I have to say I was addicted to Palworld, same as Pokemon, right? I get addicted to a lot of games. Palworld has become one of them, which means Palworld is a game I like, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So Palworld getting sued by Nintendo for me is pretty disappointing in a way. Uh, so we'll see. Let's. I want to see what Asmongold has to say.
Because it could be gone on any day.
Yeah, could be gone.
Sometimes my job's really weird. This is an example of that. I cannot
The fact that this is a reaction video to another reaction video is oh well. I just want to see Asmongold's take on this. That's all. I watch Asmongold a lot.
believe I'm going to say this, but there is in fact a slim chance that Grand Theft Auto 5 might save Palworld.
What?
But
Okay.
here's the actual story, right?
What?
When September 18th, 2024 hit,
Yeah.
Nintendo and the Pokemon Company dropped a legal bomb on the Palworld developer Pocket Pair,
Mm-hmm.
basically patent infringement on game mechanics. That happened, but Pocket Pair then went and did something gutsy.
That's
Before
so
any of it hit court, they decided, right, this is clearly David versus Goliath. We need to go public with a statement. Here is the statement that they put out. It is truly unfortunate that we will be forced to allocate significant time to matters unrelated to the game development due to this lawsuit. However, we will do our utmost for our fans and to ensure that indie game developers are not hindered or discouraged from pursuing their creative ideas. And when it all went down, the timing was fascinating. Pocket Pair were actually prepping Palworld's PS5 launch, and Tokyo Game Show was right around the corner. It seemed the perfect time to drop things. The perfect moment, of course, then, for Nintendo to throw in a lawsuit and create chaos everywhere. But it was not enough to stop a crazy successful month for the company, because rather than the expected PS5 reveal at Tokyo Game Show, they shadow dropped it during the PlayStation
Palworld's release to PlayStation created a huge backbone for Palworld, I think. Now that I think about it, I don't think it is kind of a yeah, it is a huge backbone.
State
Created
of
a
Play
huge
presentation.
backbone.
Japan got the game a few days earlier in October, and according to PlayStation's Japan blog, it actually jumped to the top of the downloads.
Holy shit! It beat Dragon Ball Z and Metaphor and Call of Duty? Oh my...
So I want to talk about this one as well. So I believe there are two types of people who look at Palworld, or maybe three. So one, there are Pokemon fans who are actually thirsty for a new Pokemon game because they finished everything in the Pokemon game. Like, for an example, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, they released two DLCs, the Tail Mask and the I cannot remember the Indigo Disc. So both of them was a pretty good DLCs, and there are raids. So people finished those as well. And what Pokemon did in order to maintain the amount of people playing that game was to release raids and have tournaments and like pretty much any content you can do in Pokemon Scarlet has been done. So this game, Palworld, has been released in 2024, which is 2024 is the second year, I think. So it was released in November 2022, I believe. So they released Palworld. So the first kind of people is people who have finished every content in Pokemon and they were thirst for more Pokemon content. And what they did was to how do I say it? What they did was they were looking for more Pokemon stuff, Pokemon video games, Pokemon related, Pokemon looking, Pokemon gameplay style video games on the internet. So the Pokemon fans stumbled upon Palworld. So here's the thing: always, every time Pokemon release a new video game, Pokemon is always probably top 3 or top 5 in the most income made on that particular year, right? Because even in 2022, Elden Ring, even though was the best game released in 2022, was the second most sold game in 2022, and not a surprise, number 1 was Palworld. So that's where it comes down to. And sorry, not Palworld, it's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So Scarlet and Violet outsold Elden Ring in 2022, even though it being a mediocre game. For me, it wasn't, like, I played once, it was enjoyable, very good content in the game, but again, I am a Pokemon, so what Pokemon fans seek is a lot and a lot and a lot of Pokemon content, right? So that's one of the reasons Pokemon Legends Arceus didn't do, it did do well, but it didn't do that well, you know what I mean? So Pokemon Legends Arceus for me wasn't enough, the content in it. It was just the post game content was the side quests, the shiny hunting, and the Pokédex completion. That's all. So there were nothing else you can do, nothing new, nothing different. You can reattempt boss battles, that's all. That's what there was. So Elden Ring mention, oh well. So and the reason why Palworld is first in Japan is that Japanese people, the people there who are playing a lot of Pokemon, have no enough Pokemon content for them to be clinging on with. So it was 2024, and it was the furthest year before an actual official release of Pokemon, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is pretty much old at this point. So a lot of Pokemon fans tried out Palworld, and now it's the second most become the second most played, like, active players on Steam, behind PUBG players under, I cannot remember, but it's PUBG. So it got like 3 million. Is it 3 million? I think it's 3 million concurrent players in 24 hours. So that's a huge number. So I'm probably mostly sure that more than half of the players who played within those 24 hours, more than half of them are probably people who wanted more Pokemon content, is what I feel like. So that's why Palworld has become the top in Japan, most sold in the PlayStation this year, by the way. So let's go over it.
My God.
That's what I gotta say about it. Because Japanese are
The
huge
likes of
fans
Dragon Ball,
of
Sparking
Pokemon.
Zero and Metaphor Refantasio, which is
Yeah.
impressive. Their numbers are massive, especially in Japan. Now, we've been in a holding pattern ever since. We've been waiting for something to happen, and that is what brings us to
It's
today's
Raichu.
developments. It's wild, so get ready and sit down. Pocket Pair have revealed
Raichu.
Nintendo filed 3 patents in 2024. Of course, that's after Palworld released, and these patents are all focusing on one specific thing. It's pretty crazy, right? Throwing a ball at a creature to catch it. No battle required, just throw and catch. Now, you might think, how can they patent something after Palworld came out with the mechanic? Well, the problem is, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Nintendo had this mechanic in the wild for nearly 2 years before Palworld came out, and in legal terms, you actually don't need to file your patent first. Nintendo just need to prove that they did it first. And these 3...
What the fuck? How fucking... What the hell is going on over there? That's stupid. It's so stupid. Here's the thing, too. The reason why I think the ball thing is ridiculous is because the ball is basically... Like, you have nets and traps in real life.
I agree with him, by the way.
Like, this is maybe like a digital form of it, but both of these things are mirroring real life behavior. It's not like it's like some random, like, weird, esoteric video game thing. Like, a Pokeball is meant to represent a trap in real life.
are not the entire arsenal. A patent expert writing for GameIndustry.biz spotted 28 different patents where Nintendo were alleging infringement. And it's frustrating stuff like running about, transporting your character on a monster. But they're only using these three, and the reason why is simple. Nintendo want to play it smart. These are the ones where they think they can prove that Palworld copied the specific mechanical implementation from Arceus. Now, they've actually found that movement with the US Patent Office is really slow. It actually may not happen over there, but obviously Japan is where both companies are. It's their home turf. Okay, these three patents then are
Nintendo loves lawsuit.
Now, for their objective. Let's get into
True.
the numbers, because the Nintendo lawsuit against Palworld is not all that it seems. Now, the initial ask is 5 million yen each for the patents from Pocket Pair.
Welcome to the stream, Illusion.
No, because like they can't give them the money, because giving them the money could mean that they're like, in a lot of cases, giving the money, that it's like an implicit assumption of guilt, you know?
Nintendo and the Pokemon Company, which is a grand
Give me a second.
total of 65,000 USD. That's an absolutely tiny amount of money, especially compared to
Nothing, makes a precedent. Exactly.
Colorpool, where basically they ended with a settlement that was worth 30 million and then ongoing licensing fees.
Wow.
Absolutely
Okay. As companies, so Nintendo has a huge backbone to actually file lawsuit against which lawsuit did they sue on the Donkey Kong it's not a tragedy, it's about Donkey Kong being similar with King Kong. I think it's Warner Brothers. So they actually competed with Warner Brothers and the Warner Brothers or Universal, I cannot remember. They actually sued Warner Brothers, and in the end, Nintendo actually won because of this one lawyer who is called Kirby, right? I believe. And because of that person, to honor this guy, they've started a new franchise called Kirby. So they're doing Kirby from then onwards. So my point is not about the Kirby. My point is about the amount of, like, how fearless these guys are in order to compete with a huge company like, I don't know. I feel like Nintendo is not scared of any. The problem is Nintendo has never lost a lawsuit, by the way. Never lost. So that's the scary part. And there is a very, very high chance that Palworld might be gone forever. Hopefully not, because I'm a huge fan. And yeah.
Brutal, which fits. Nintendo's legal team, especially in their home turf, are basically renowned, absolute legal assassins. They tend to win.
They have never lost a case, as far as I know, that they have initiated.
Exactly.
Nintendo hasn't. And Nintendo initiated this case.
Weird name for a person.
All
True.
the time. Now,
Yeah.
that 65 grand
True.
is obviously just an opening move in what is obviously
Japan.
a sort of
Yeah.
lawfare thing,
Also
right?
true.
It's corporate chess. Nintendo's not really going after that pocket change. They're playing a longer game here, and it's not just to bury the company in legal fees, though it is absolutely also that. Let's take a
This
look.
game really looks like a piece of shit. Oh, I wonder how the people that made this game feel about Palworld. Like, I would feel really stupid.
This is what I want to talk about. Asmongold calls this game a very, very bad game. I agree to a degree. What made Pokemon Legends Arceus unique is the art style. The art style of the game. And the new mechanics they actually tried out instead of the repeating mechanic. The repeating gameplay they have since Pokemon Red and Blue. And I feel like Nintendo took a turn, but this mechanic is what I feel like. So, as a conclusion, I feel like Pokemon Legends Arceus, from my understanding, is a game released as an experiment from Game Freak just to check out how good this game would do. So they released it as an official Pokemon game in 2022, and that's it. So the reason why I think they released as a normal experiment game is one reason: there were not enough content for us to cling on to. Pokemon is a franchise where they will find some way for the video game to be interesting in some way. Not that I have used any content like post-game content in X and Y, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield. No. Sword and Shield, I did play the DLCs, that's all. But all those Pokemon games before the 3DS era, the DS, the Game Boy Advance games, those games had really good post-game content. To this day, my brothers still play the Battle Frontier in Soul Silver and the Pokeathlon, and they are still enjoyable to play. And Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, not only one of the best Pokemon games of all time, but right now is probably the best. It's also named as the best DS game of all time. Maybe it's behind GTA Chinatown Wars, but excluding that, Heart Gold Soul Silver is up there, at least a top 5. So Pokemon games were in a standard where it's actually good. I feel like they still have the standard, but they have moved that down because of the hardware they're still using. They're still using the hardware they're using in that was released in 2016, 17, I suppose. I cannot remember. Maybe it's 2018, 2017. Like, anyways, that's what I feel. And so speaking about Legends Arceus, one, not enough content for me to cling on to. I do play a lot of shiny hunting, but that's pretty much it. And second reason why I feel like this is experimental, it's extremely empty. You don't see Pokemon anywhere. You don't see it. And it's very empty. Like, defining empty, it's like not enough Pokemon walking around. Not enough trees, not enough bushes, not enough anything, right? And they should have filled this world more up with more stuff. Maybe they had something in mind. Maybe there are people who actually love this game to a certain degree, I believe, and appreciate them. Pretty good. The game is really good, but this game has its flaws. And the third reason, what was the third reason I had in mind? The first one was definitely how oh god, I actually forgot. Oh jeez. Yeah, I have a lot of things in mind right now about Pokemon, right? So the world is definitely empty. And oh yeah, the first reason was not enough content, like the stuff around, right? So enough. And the next one is probably, the third reason for me is probably gonna be maybe the movement. Yeah, I think they should have done more to the movement, just without rolling, right? Because in Scarlet and Violet, in Legends Arceus, you can run, you can run, you can walk, you can roll, you can crouch, you can, that's all. That's the 4 movements. In Scarlet and Violet, you can crouch, you can run. There's no walking in Scarlet and Violet. You can run, you cannot roll. It's more of the movement, isn't it? Yeah, the movement part is there. Maybe the running, yeah, it's a lot actually. It's a lot. It's also 30 FPS, locked to 30 FPS, so that's another flaw. Again, it's a Switch problem, I feel like. Maximum is 60 FPS. The Scarlet and Violet was probably a bigger game and requires a larger system for it to be played, or it's not optimized well. So that's what I feel like.
I really would. I would feel like a fucking moron.
Palworld definitely looks better than Legends Arceus, by the way, because it's made using the Unreal Engine. The Unreal Engine, the graphics and all that, the FPS, the frame rate of the game, the look of the game, the environment of the game, the textures of anything that's there. This one, I don't think I can talk about the textures because everything is supposed to look the same, I feel like, with the art style. So yeah, the emptiness is what makes this pretty bad.
look at the patents to understand
Jesus,
how Nintendo have
look at that.
operated here. So yeah, they actually did file these patents after Palworld launch, but they're in fact derived from a December 2021 patent, and they've basically tailored things for this situation. And an IP attorney called Kirk Sigmund spoke to PC Gamer and explained that this is actually standard practice, where companies will have an existing patent, but then they'll refine it to close loopholes. But of course, the timing matters, and in this case, it really does look like Nintendo was preparing their battleground. So here's the brutal part, and well, here's it in Kirk's own words.
Okay.
Your general attorneys cannot do this sort of work. You've got to find specialists. It gets extremely expensive and time-consuming, and it can wear a lot of small companies out. It is designed to make you no longer play the game.
This is one thing that's extremely common with any sort of legal proceeding, is that the goal isn't to win, it's to beat you in a war of attrition. Like a good example of this is like a human versus a raccoon. If you get in a fight with a raccoon, you will probably beat the raccoon. You will be able to kill the raccoon before the raccoon kills you. But man, you are going to get scratched the fuck up. You are going to get cut up. You are going to get fucked around. It's going to be a bad time for you.
True.
So it's better to just leave him over there. And just let him, he wants to do that, he's going to do that. Rabies? Raccoons don't have rabies innately.
People are talking
Like,
about
that's
rabies.
not how they work. That's not the way their mechanics are.
So in other words, you either give in or you sign yourself up for a legal battle that you don't even know if you can afford. But of course, you probably guess it's not just that. Nintendo's real legal objective here is almost
This guy's a
certainly to get an
dumbass, whoever's
injunction.
playing.
This would prevent Palworld from being sold
Jesus
whilst
Christ.
it's in
Yeah,
breach of
tag
those
that guy more.
patents. And
Yeah.
either way, it's all aimed at sowing chaos. And here's the reason why. Palworld could change the mechanic, right? To no longer be in breach of the patent. That
Right.
would obviously take game development time, and it would risk player sentiment because they
Well,
know
it would also, the thing is too, is that any behavior that they take as a response to this will be viewed as them capitulating in one way or another, or an admission of guilt. So like they're kind of like they're kind of stuck. Throwing balls is illegal now. Well, I mean, here's really the truth. Everybody knows that Palworld copied Pokemon. Like we all know this. Everybody knows this. But the difference is that Pokemon actually copied Dragon Quest. Like, if you look at Dragon Quest that predated Pokemon, Pokemon copied the fuck out of them.
I agree.
So, I don't want to have and like also all types of innovation, like anything is built, like patents exist to make sure that people can make money off of their products. But at a certain point, when you're using patents to actively suppress innovation in an industry, and hurt the consumers, you're effectively having a system that is in place that causes the citizens to lose money and to experience worse products. Why does that system exist? I think that's a very good question.
the game as it is, they like it as
Creative
it is,
entropy?
and
Yeah.
if they just have to come up with a new mechanic to replace catching your pals, well, players may not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the real risk here is time, because they would be incentivized to fix this problem and replace the mechanic as soon as is possible. Now, of course, if you want the mechanic to be good, to be well play tested,
Mm-hmm.
you will take your time and get it right. But if you're in breach, if there's an injunction, you can't really afford to do that because it's blocking your game from sale. Or, of course,
Yep.
you could give in and you could agree to license the patent from Nintendo. But the message, as Kirk puts it, is clear. Quote, for them, this is a massive target they need to declare.
Yep.
Don't do this to us ever again. One could speculate they'd probably do the same thing to any company that came too close to the main line, especially when they perceived it to possibly infringe their IP.
I think that another big component with Palworld 2 is the fact that it damaged Pokemon. I think that it did. I think a lot of people, after they saw Palworld, whatever the next Pokemon open world game
So let's see.
is probably going to look like garbage next to Palworld. And that's going to damage the new Pokemon game.
So damaging Pokemon. I think so. It's kind of true. If it damages, well, we would be able to find out if Palworld actually damaged Pokemon, because here is what I think about it. So, what I feel about this is that um, Palworld released the game, and Pokemon still did their thing, and I don't know if it actually damaged Pokemon, but it might have. It depends though. We'll see what's gonna happen in 2025 when Pokemon Legends ZA releases, because uh, my take on Pokemon Legends ZA is gonna be a game where uh, Pokemon Legends Arceus done right, simply. Because Pokemon Legends Arceus had its own flaws. It's a whole new game mechanic. Game Freak tried, and it worked. It was successful, and all they have to do is use the same exact mechanic. Probably they might use the same assets and the same code, and they might use it. You know, they will use it, and they will use the mechanic onto the Pokemon Legends ZA, and they might put more content, more that were missing in Pokemon Legends Arceus. I not believe, but Pokemon Legends ZA should be better than Pokemon Legends Arceus. Um, if they understood the flaws, what are the blanks? What are the blanks they need to fill in Pokemon Legends Arceus? They will have a perfect game that might also be competing with the best games out there. Is what I feel like, because this is the mechanic people are looking for right now. After Elden Ring was released, Souls-like games blew up. Dark Souls blew up. Bloodborne blew up. Every From Software, every Soulsborne, every Souls-like games blew up because of Elden Ring. So Pokemon took this approach to make Pokemon Souls-like. It's close, not there, but that's the path they are taking. That's why they are having Pokemon Legends ZA. Is what I feel like. They have a boss battle. They have an HP bar. Throw some dust at them. The HP decreases. I did this blindfold run and it was easy. But this is a Souls-like game for kids. It's what I can say. So that's my take on it. And about Palworld damaging Pokemon, we would see with the amount of sales Pokemon Legends Arceus is Pokemon Legends ZA is gonna do, and that would it might have damaged the Pokemon fans, I would say, rather than the Pokemon company itself, because Pokemon is doing well. If damaged or not, only they know, not you know. So I think maybe it depends on the sales. Again, yeah. And Pokemon Sword and Shield, by far the second most sold Pokemon game of all time. The third most sold game of all time has become Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, with exceeding 20 million copies sold, I believe. And Pokemon Legends ZA, let's see how good that's gonna do. But it's probably not gonna do as good as a mainline game. We'll see though, because Pokemon Legends ZA, if they do better, might do better than a mainline game.
Yeah, critical hit. Yeah, exactly, right? So they have to get rid of Palworld to make sure that nobody else can do that.
True.
Kirk said.
Palworld changes the expectations of the fans. Yeah. Expectations of the fans. Okay, so like Palworld will influence or maybe change minds of Pokemon fans. It's what you're trying to say, I think. And they will be like, I want a survival game rather than a story mode game with Pokemon in it. You have a point. Changes the expectations. What does Pokemon... Here's the thing. Some Pokemon fans doesn't actually like Palworld, not for... Let's keep aside for being the competitor. There are people who already like fanboying the Palworld, and I don't think that's not how I would like it to be. Palworld and Pokemon should exist as competitors, in my opinion, and that's how companies improve. That's how Apple, Samsung, and any other phone companies improve. Cars, Toyota, BMW, car companies evolve. Like gaming industry, it's also tech. They should do well as well. And the gaming industry, they need to have their franchises like together, being competitive, right? So doing this, what Nintendo is doing is limiting the you know, limiting the expectations of the customers out there. So like for me, I feel like there shouldn't be only one Pokemon. There should be an alternative, but with a condition that Pokemon alternative game shouldn't be released by Nintendo themselves, is what I feel like. Because they might do the same thing as what Pokemon did, but will take a different approach, but they will have the same taste of what Pokemon have, is what I feel like. So a different company making a Pokemon alternative would be a much better option. That's what I feel like. Palworld changes the expectations of the fans. It might, but for me, I should check out the sales, the amount of people who like it. For me, I don't think it might have damaged it because it isn't as similar as we think it is. Palworld and Pokemon, because than Pokemon, Palworld is similar to Ark. If you know what that game is, the prehistoric game with dinosaurs, you know. It feels too copycatty. Yeah, true. Palworld is a good competitor, but I feel like they are a little bit too similar to Pokemon. Like having a Dark Souls competitor named Grey Souls with the exact same weapons name. True, the names of the moves felt cheap. The animations of, don't get me wrong, the animations of the games were good. The damages it did, the level cap was good, the building aspect of it, the survival aspect of it, the open world aspect of it. Yeah, they were really good. When it comes to similarities, there was a Cinderace, a grass type Cinderace. There was a Luxray. There was a Boltund, a black Boltund, and there was who else? There was a Piplup. There was a Piplup. There was who else? There were a lot of. There was a Salamence. There was a Salamence. There was a Salamence, and there was a Lucario. There was a Lucario, and there was a Gallade. Is it a Gallade? Robin Quill, I feel. There is a pal called Robin Quill that looks like maybe Decidueye. Looks more Decidueye than Gallade, I think. So yeah, pals were too associated with Pokemon 4. I think Pokemon sued them because of that, but they had no other way to actually sue Palworld, So they had to bring up this copyright infringement in order to sue. Like, they have in their mind, they want to sue for these models, but they're not even close when it comes to models. I feel like Palworld should have created whole different monsters instead of the ones copied from Pokemon. It's pretty obvious at this point. You have, yeah, true.
And this is absolutely Nintendo sending a warning shot across the bow of the entire industry. It is them hitting Pocket Pair right when they are trying to seize their opportunity. And that includes things like, yes, the PlayStation relationship, but also plans that could see their IP be expanded, just like Pokemon was. And I think that is the real thing that Nintendo are worried about here. Palworld is scrappy, right? And I think we all know that it is taking commonly appreciated elements from all over the place and putting them in.
They stole everything from Pokemon. They did. It's obvious.
Not everything.
They did. I mean, that's why are we even talking around it? They did. Like, Anubis is Lucario. Fucking Lugia is Jet Dragon.
Lugia is Jet Dragon.
I mean, really, it's obviously stolen from Pokemon. The Pal spheres are obviously
Yeah, the throwing Pokeballs at the that's copied as well. But I feel like when it comes to gameplay mechanics, they shouldn't be copyrighted. Is my opinion. That's my opinion. That's all. I don't think it should be copyrighted any gameplay mechanic, right? Because if that's the case, any video game franchise, any company can copyright claim the jump, and maybe the sprint, and maybe crafting something, right? If that's the case, only Minecraft would exist in this world. And what's the point then? I don't even play Minecraft. Like Cobblemon.
Pokeball. Like, come on, what are we even talking about?
With this, what happens is that every company in this world will be discouraged to make a game like Pokemon. Pokemon is is like a Game of the Year worthy franchise if they actually make a good game. The closest they have been to Game of the Year, it's probably the DS era, except when it came to Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon Black and White, not Black and White, but maybe Black 2 and White 2. So those three game franchises were the peak of Pokemon, in my opinion. The DS era.
But it's what the fuck? Wait, what is this? So it's not a matter of whether they stole it or not. It's a matter of whether they stole it and Nintendo has a right to allow that to happen.
Yep. True.
And I don't think that they do. I think that they have to let it happen because Nintendo has stolen things from other people, and at the end of the day, you can't. The idea of throwing an object at an animal to capture the animal is something that human beings have been doing for thousands of years.
Yeah. Agree.
No, I don't think you can own that idea. It's ridiculous. Such a ridiculous fucking concept.
I mean, pretty much any game mechanic, by the way. It's like, even no matter how unique the gameplay mechanic is, I don't think people should be able to copyright claim it, because using the if that unique game mechanic is great, sorry, if that unique game mechanic is such a good mechanic that people actually love to play, I feel like they should let the other game developers to create um, similar games to that similar franchise with this similar game mechanic, and the customers, us gamers, will have more varieties of games to be playing with. That's the case with Pokemon. There are no Pokemon alternatives for Pokemon fans to actually enjoy with. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is the only game we have to actually enjoy this mechanic. That's not what it should be. We need more alternatives. That's why there are fan games. This is the reason why people are looking for fan games. I play Pokewilds. That's a fan game. I play PokeMMO. That's a fan game. I play Pokemon ROM hacks. That's a fan game. Fan games do not have enough quality in them. That's what I'm saying. We need official game, an official video game that implements the same game mechanic, if not same, at least something similar to Pokemon that is good, right? And release it. People will have choices. That's all.
It's insane.
Into something. And Nintendo are probably realizing, this could be a little bit of a problem, because we've basically sat on top of Pokemon. We've done a pretty bad job, all things considered, Pokemon Company as well, for years and years and years and years. What if somebody else is actually able to fight us by making a better Pokemon-like experience? I think that is why Nintendo are trying to do what they do.
And you're going to see this happen too. There's another game that's coming out that's called Azure Permelia. It's a gacha game, so it probably won't have the same reach as
I think he's talking about the mobile game.
It's the way it's designed.
That
But you're
copied
seeing a lot
Palworld.
of games that are trying to copy this now.
Yeah.
Because I actually think that a game like Pokemon that plays extremely well is something that people want to see. Like Palworld was kind of like a low budget version of that. But like, you know, if you look at that as like Dark Souls, the Elden Ring of that game would be, I think, a generational level game.
Yeah, agreed. That's what I'm saying.
I think more than that. And I
think Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 is, without bias, by the way, my favorite game of all time is Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 implemented, I don't know how to call it, maybe there's a term for it, but 3D inside a 2D game, using pixelated game. It's in Castelia City, if any Pokemon fans are here. In Castelia City, there is the 2D has taken it to a 3D kind of. I don't know how to actually say it. Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 was one of the first games to actually do it, I believe. I might be wrong though. But yeah, that's Pokemon. The DS era was something else. They grew up very high. If we took a graph, it goes like Game Boy. It was after the Game Boy. It was like this, and it went high up from the DS era. Platinum specifically. Diamond and Pearl didn't do well.
Grand Theft Auto. I didn't think Grand Theft Auto would be involved, but kind of is. So this is Nintendo locking things down on their home turf, but it probably won't have that much impact on the broader industry, the global industry, if Nintendo cannot
look how shitty this is. Like, if I guarantee you, I've said this every time I talked about Palworld, I guarantee you that the guys that are working at Nintendo on Pokemon, I bet they're probably playing Palworld and seeing this and they probably have worse things to say about it than I do. They're probably the ones saying, like, yeah, we need to fire all these fucking retards. Why is it that somebody who had a middle schooler that worked at a gas station, like, why are they doing the art and they're doing better than us? Like, what are we doing? Like, why is this happening? I guarantee you the guys that are working at Nintendo are thinking that.
Again, hardware is probably a problem to it. The engine looks fine. They are using the Havoc engine, the physics engine. So the physics engine is fine, I believe. And when it comes to art style in this game, the art is pretty good. This is the same engine that was used to make, I believe, Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. It has the similar textures and all that. But again, for me, we don't know what Nintendo are thinking about. For me, I feel like this is a game that was released as experiment to check how this will perform as an official game. If this wasn't an experimental game, I would consider Game Freak as a lazy company. Has become lazier throughout time, is what I would say. And as he's saying, the developers might be thinking, like, what's going on with our product? It's worse than Palworld and all that. After playing Palworld, it depends on what they're thinking. Maybe they actually know that this is a worse game than Palworld. Maybe they already know, and they might be thinking this is an experiment, a game they released as an experiment anyways, so this could be a worse game than whatever's like better than this. So that's what I feel. My second favorite game is Legends Arceus because of how it is, and it's a great mechanic that was implemented into Pokemon. So I feel like Pokemon has done a great job taking into this path, and they're gonna release Pokemon Legends Z, and hopefully they will do much better than this. We'll see though. Yeah, this one,
The Switch is underpowered. No, it's the design is ridiculous. Like, look at the way the character moves.
Yeah, the moving, I kind of agree with. The movement they should fix. The Pokemon Sun and Moon, I think Pokemon Sun and Moon has the first time Pokemon has ever created an actual sprite for the protagonist where the character is full size. I think it's Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon had better movement than this, I believe. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So Sun and Moon for me had better running. Scarlet and Violet kind of had the same. Pokemon Sword and Shield, they were alright. For me, Sun and Moon was good when it comes to running. This one a bit questionable, but it still was a good game.
Probably won't have that much impact on the broader industry, the
Look how bad
global
that
industry, if Nintendo cannot get the American
I agree.
patent system to agree with them. And at the very least, we know that's been a way slower process.
Yeah.
But of course, the principle here is an important thing. And there's actually a long shot that was proposed by a patent attorney in Nikkei Business. This is absolutely amazing, and I love it. They pointed out that while Nintendo's patents for catching monsters in an open field, might have been filed as far back as December 2021 in its first incarnation, well, they may not actually have the first instance of that mechanic. And that's because of this. This, everybody, is Pokemon Go. in Grand Theft Auto 5, done 8 years ago in 2016. Now, remember,
What?
how precedence in the actual market with a product, well, that means that Arceus would trump Palworld in terms of filing those patents. Well, as is put here in KbeatZ, this would mean that because of this mod for GTA, there is an established usage that basically would mean Nintendo shouldn't have been able to file their patent because they didn't create the mechanics, because it was inspired by Pokemon Go, but it was different, and it was there in a GTA mod. It was there in the...
There's no way that goes. There's no way. I mean, anything that's created by fans that's derivative of the original intellectual property is proactively owned by the people who created the original intellectual property. Yeah, no, there's no way. This would be funny, but no. Dota?
market.
Dota, here's the difference between Dota. Dota is something, Dota was a completely new type of design, and it wasn't, like, this would basically be, if you wanted to use Dota as an example, this would be like Rockstar suing Nintendo. But Rockstar isn't the one suing Nintendo.
And that means
feel
that
like
Pokemon...
when it comes to fan games and all that, I don't think when it comes to a lawsuit, fan games should be talked about because they are independent developers who are making these games. I don't think they should be dragged into this. Just my take on it. They're not even selling it as well, so...
and guns may save the game with Pokemon and guns.
I don't believe that.
There's
no way.
But okay.
There's no way.
A wild story. And to be honest with you, I really hope Nintendo lose here. Patenting game mechanics is...
Oh, I think about saying that the first time they have ever used throwing a ball at a Pokemon is done by GTA 5. Now GTA 5 have done it and they haven't sued them, is the argument they're trying to bring. I don't think that's gonna work because it's still a fan game. It's a fan mod, so...
Risky business. And one of the
unfortunately
we saw of that was the Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War series. They're pretty good games.
Nemesis
the second
system.
one quite a bit less because they tried to ruin that with monetization, but the amazing thing was the Nemesis system. The problem is, the Nemesis system was patented such that if you do something with a Nemesis system-like thing, and look, if it's an indie, yeah, sure, they'll probably not notice. But maybe if it gets noticed enough, Warner Brothers games will just be able to take you to court.
Yep.
And I don't think any of us can really, afford to battle with Warner Brothers as bloody lawyers. Yeah, this stuff sucks. Good luck to them. That's it for this video. And for more news, check this one out next.
Man, I do really hope that this happens. I hope that Palworld wins, because I think that the biggest issue right now is companies that are trying, like, this is going to be a big issue that's happening probably in the next 10 years. It's going to be companies that are trying to effectively, I'm trying to think of a way to explain it. Like, imagine you have like a free place and they're trying to create like private property on an island. And they're trying to claim as much land for themselves so new developers can't make games with certain mechanics.
Yeah.
So they're trying to effectively take big ideas and then make them exclusive to this kind of a game so they can make it to where other people in the space aren't able to compete with them. And they're doing it through basically an exploit of game mechanics. Craftopia, also from Pocket Pair, came out before Arceus. I don't even think that, in my opinion, I think that Pokemon can easily argue that they've had this system from the 90s, right? I mean, and I feel like, because it's, again, like, the patent was referring to a 3D environment.
Yeah.
There are no, like, there's 3D environments, I guess, right? But, like, the old Pokemon games had a simulated 3D environment as well. I feel like if it was based off of the inception of the idea, it probably would go from before Arceus. That's what I'm assuming. But I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. Pokemon Coliseum was 3D? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Pokemon Coliseum was 3D, and that was in, like, the 90s. Yeah, you're right about that. And
Pokemon
like
Stadium was a 3D
yeah, I
game
don't
as
know.
well.
But I do think that the people that work at Nintendo...
So, well, there are more.
pretty much know what they're doing, but I do really, really, really hope they lose because I think it sets a terrible precedent for gaming. And the precedent and what that does is it creates a world where people who are trying to make new video games are limited by so many different existing claimed land that they can't build their own place. They can't build their own thing. And I think it's fundamentally like for an average player or a consumer, it's bad for them. They're handicapped? Yeah, exactly. Do you think this is pure gatekeeping or eventually lead us to a point where they buy the land mechanics and aim to rent them out at a charge to generate profit? Yeah, I think that's what they're doing. They're trying to effectively, basically, instead of having to make video games, they can license mechanics because that's obviously much easier to do, right? And so all companies are going to try to go towards as, you know, make things as easy as possible for themselves. That's just how it is. Trying to give a fuck about copyright? Yeah, exactly, right? You shouldn't be able to copyright a mechanic. I think that it's very nuanced, but generally I agree with that. And I think that the big problem is that a lot of video games, these are things that simulate real-life interactions.
Exactly.
Like a nemesis system, like the word nemesis was not invented with Lord of the Rings Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
Nemesis is a word that's been around for a really, really long time. And the idea of it has been around for a really long time. So the idea that this is somehow like something that should be owned and this concept should be owned by Warner Brothers is ridiculous because it's a core human experience that is just being explained in this way. And I think the explanation is too broad. Game patent should last 5 years tops? Well, I don't know. So throwing a fishing net is illegal by Pokemon?
Game patents shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Patent trolls are a major economic problem in the U.S., slowing growth and innovation and costing companies time and money. Oh, I agree with you. I think it's very bad, too. Absolutely. Patented the jump button? Yeah, exactly. This should come back to the court of public opinion. If people see a company stealing an idea, they won't buy the worst one. They'll buy the better one. I think that they will. I think there's a lot more that's on the table versus just worse and better. Like you have price, brand, brand accessibility, things like that that also matter. I'll link you guys the video. Give it a like. This is a. I really hope Nintendo loses this.
Yeah, that's where it comes down to. Yeah. There it is. So that's where it comes down to. And yeah, Pokemon suing Palworld is something that shouldn't have been done. It discourages developers to make video games in the first place, and as it is, game mechanics shouldn't be. Patent infringements should be like maximum 5 years. Someone said, I don't think patent infringements shouldn't even be a thing. I can't lie, for video games. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. So this was the perspective from a Pokemon fan, and that was me. I am a broad Pokemon player, and alongside I did play Palworld as well. So my take on this is that both of them should exist together in the same world, right? And that's all I gotta say. And yeah, hopefully Palworld survives. Hopefully Pokemon, I wouldn't say Pokemon. I wouldn't say I want any of them to win. I want this feud to be settled in a good manner. That's all I have to say. And yeah, I want Palworld and Pokemon exist in the same world. I want them to function as competitors, friendly competitors. There's an 80% that would not happen since it's in the same country, but we'll see. And yeah, I'll see you guys on my next stream. Take care, and cheers from KbeatZ. I will do another Pokemon Y playthrough though.